A lot of people won't go the extra mile to improve. But Jay was crazy enough to take it to a brutal level. Squatting past pain. Squatting until he could literally smell blood.
I used to squat until my nose bled, if that makes sense. So we had this mirror at the Gold's Gym in Worcester, Massachusetts, and there was a lot of spit on the mirror because the squat rack was up against the mirror. So the guys would, you ever see the guys squat and they go, but I would actually squat until like so much blood, it was like my nose would, and I thought that was the coolest thing at 18. That's what I mean. Like, you have to be a little mentally messed up to push yourself. Think about that.
Who even does that? He was so locked in and went so hard that he'd literally get hemorrhoids after a leg session. That sounds insane, but that's just how dialed in his head was.
The thing is, I used to get hemorrhoids when I squatted a lot.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I had a bit lanced.
That's the kind of extra work it takes to become a winner. And that's how the famous quad stomp was born.
Before I did the ab and thigh, which was the last pose at the time, the most muscular didn't exist. I looked down at my leg, and I was like, let me see what kind of striations I have, because I always had in my left leg crazy striations on the outer head. And I looked down at the leg, and I flexed the leg, and I looked at the audience like, okay, here it is, and they went crazy, and then I hit the ab and thigh. But I never realized when I locked that leg and I kind of looked down, and as I looked down, it was never a pose. This is the famous quad stomp. I actually never really tightened. I just kind of was like, when I put my head down, my abs kind of flexed a little bit just to be able to hit the leg. And Purbanell and the rest of the crew locked that picture in, and it's one of the most memorable bodybuilding pictures of all time. I started training, I had these really big legs. Right away my legs got explosive because I was a fullback in high school, and I actually had trouble fitting the jeans. My legs were shaped so, like, they were so, not big, but just the shape of them. I had a crazy sweep to my legs as developed as they were.
After losing to Dexter Jackson in 2008, Jay Cutler was frustrated.
Extremely disappointed because I really wanted to come off and prove that I could hit it, 100%. I didn't do that.
That loss hit him hard. And from that moment on, he was fully dialed in for the next year, the Mr. Olympia 2009. So let's see how Jay trained, how he built those legs, and how that legendary quad stomp came to life in 2009. Jay Cutler didn't overcomplicate things. He stuck to the basics. For his first leg exercise, he starts with leg extensions. Nothing fancy, just a standard leg extension machine. But the way he did it made all the difference. High reps, full control, but watch Jay. He's staying at the top of the movement. He's squeezing the quads until those striations, those zippers, literally pop through the skin. That squeeze is where the magic happens. That's when the quads light up. He's getting the muscles pliable, getting the blood flow into the tendons, and making sure the joints are warm. It's an isolation movement, sure, but it's the setup for the war that's coming later in the workout. He's going to run 4 sets here. He starts light, just a feeler set to get the rhythm, and then he pyramids the weight up. Every set gets heavier, every squeeze gets harder. By the time he finishes these 4 sets, his legs are already screaming. He was already pumped to the limit before the heavy work even started. Straight off the leg extensions, Jay doesn't waste time. He's already got that initial pump, so he dives right into the leg press. Check out his foot position here. He's keeping them right in the middle of the platform, shoulder width, maybe even a bit closer. He's intentionally taking the hamstrings out of the equation because this whole session is a hit job on the quads. He's not going super deep either. And notice the depth. He's not bottoming out the machine. He's stopping just short of that to keep the tension locked on the muscle. If you lock out or go too deep, you lose that burn he's looking for. He's staying in that sweet spot range of motion, where the tension never leaves the muscle. It's calculated, it's controlled, and it's perfect for what he's trying to do. Once he's warm, he goes for the kill. We're talking the full stack, heavy as it gets. Then he starts loading it up. More plates, more weight. He wraps his knees and goes straight into the heavy stack. This isn't just about piling on weight. It's about moving heavy weight in a way that forces the muscle to respond. He keeps going until there's nothing left. That's when the quads really start burning. This is where most people mess up, but Jay is a machine. He's exploding that weight up with raw power, but he never breaks his rhythm. Even with insane weight on the machine, the tempo stays the same. Rep after rep. No rushing, no cheating. All that constant tension keeps pumping blood into the quads. And that non-stop tension, that's what creates that insane pump.
I didn't train him for 3 years before I turned pro because my legs were just too damn big. I needed to build my upper body. Between quads and hamstrings, 40 sets. I would do 20 to 25 just for quads. I do everything, back squats, front squats, leg presses, hack squats, lunges, leg extension. Warm-ups was only the first 2 sets, and then it was like full on after that.
All right, so for the third exercise, Jay moves over to the hack squat. And this is where things really start to get intense. He doesn't just jump into the heavy stuff. He starts light, just feeling the movement. And then he gradually starts piling on the plates. But unlike the leg press, on this one, Jay is going deep. I mean as deep as he can possibly go. Because he wants that massive stretch at the bottom to really pull on those muscle fibers. He's grinding through rep after rep. And as the weight starts getting serious, Jay actually switches into these short, tight lifting shorts. And now, you can finally see the absolute carnage he's doing to his legs. The pump is just unreal. And you can see every single striation and detail popping out of his quads with every move. Now, as the machine gets loaded up with that heavy iron, here he starts to pause for a second at the very top of the rep. He's just catching a quick breath and then diving right back down into the hole. Even when it's grueling, he never truly stops moving. It's all about building that massive pump and trapping all that blood inside the muscle. No matter how heavy it gets or how much it burns, he stays in total control, just relentless with the reps until the job is done.
For me, I just love to train. That's what separated me from most guys. I just look forward every day to go in the gym and smash it up, so.
You had a pretty big squat when you were a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
What's your best squat?
700.
Holy shit.
Yeah, 700 at 19.
That's fucking crazy.
Now it's time for the king of all leg exercises, squats. Smith machine squats.
I was huge on, I was a big squatter. I was able to do a lot of weights, and right away I was adapted to the weight training, faster than most of those kids were.
If you want legs that win the Olympia, you have to get under the bar. Jay starts off with 2 plates aside, which looks easy for a guy his size, but look at the depth. He's going absolute ass to grass. In 2009, he knew he couldn't play it safe anymore. To bring those quads back, he had to go as deep as humanly possible on every single rep.
And make sure we get nice and deep. That's the most important thing about this squat.
He's hitting 10 reps, 4 sets, and man, the intensity here is just on another level because of that range of motion. He's buried at the bottom and then exploding up, keeping the weight moving to keep that fire in the quads burning. He keeps the weight on, keeps the pressure on, and just burns the quads out. You can literally see the blood rushing into the legs.
My legs are dead.
It's a pure power move. He's squeezing the glutes, the hams, and the quads all at once at the top. He never stops, never pauses to catch his breath. He just keeps going until the muscle has no choice but to grow. This is where the quad stomp was born, right here at the bottom of a heavy squat.
This is how I developed the quad stomp.
All right, this is the crazy part. After squats, he goes again to the leg extensions, but this time it's a different machine. He switches to a leg extension where each leg moves separately, totally free. In this machine, each leg moves independently, so he can't cheat. And he supersets it with the regular leg extension machine, back to back. You've already destroyed your legs with deep squats, and now you're forcing full-range leg extensions on burning quads. That peak squeeze where the quad looks like it's about to skin burst. It's fully pumped now. But that was the mindset in 2009. He wasn't just trying to win, he was trying to leave no doubt. By the time he's done here, the quads aren't just pumped, they're decimated.
I was training like a maniac, but I trained twice a day.
For like 1.5 hours?
Yeah.
Twice? Yeah.
It's
And
what
did
I
you
did.
take naps?
Yeah, slept. I ate, slept, and trained.
And it's not just about quads. Jay always makes sure the hamstrings are trained just as hard. That's how you keep the legs balanced. So now he moves to hamstrings. Lying leg curls. Everybody talks about the quad striations, but man, the hamstrings are what actually make your legs look thick and dense. If you aren't training these just as hard as the front, you don't have real legs, period. This exercise is huge for building big, complete legs. Everybody talks about quads, but listen, it's the hamstrings that make the legs look thick. And since he's already been through hell with the squats and extensions, the legs are totally fired up. There are no warm-ups left. Every single set he does now is a working set. Jay starts pyramiding the weight up. Each set gets heavier. He does about 4 solid sets here. And if you watch closely, you can actually see the muscle fibers moving while he's curling the weight. You need to control the weights and have that real mind-muscle connection. And when it starts to hurt, that's exactly where you have to keep going. Now he moves to the second hamstring exercise, standing one-leg curls. This is a great isolation movement for building the hamstrings, and the key here is control. He's not throwing the weight up, no bouncing, no cheating. Every rep is slow, controlled, and under constant tension. You want to think of it just like a bicep. Same idea. You don't swing a curl, you squeeze it. And it's the same thing with the hamstrings. Jay really focuses on getting the best hamstring development possible, especially for bodybuilding poses. In the side poses and all the rear shots, if those hamstrings don't pop, you're done. In bodybuilding, that side leg thickness is what separates the top 3 from the rest of the pack. He wants that muscle to look like a mountain of coiled cable. That's where hamstrings really show. If your hamstrings aren't developed, your legs don't look complete, no matter how big your quads are. Now he moves to the third hamstring exercise, hip extensions. Here, he is basically doing this as a variation for stiff leg deadlifts, but the focus here is completely different. On this movement, Jay is pulling his body weight only with his hamstrings. That's the key. If you have a strong mind-muscle connection, you can take your lower back and your arms out of it and let the hamstrings do all the work. With stiff leg deadlifts, a lot of people end up using their lower back too much. Here, Jay keeps everything locked in and controlled. No swinging, no pulling with the arms, just driving the movement through the hamstrings. You can see it. Every rep is loading the back of the legs, stretching them under tension, and then squeezing them hard at the top. This is pure hamstring work. Now Jay moves back to the leg press, but this time it's single leg press. This is a unilateral movement, so one leg at a time. It hits everything: quads, glutes, and hamstrings. And it's huge for fixing imbalances and building stability. There's no help from the other leg here. When you're pushing a heavy rack with both legs, your strong side can hide your weak side. But now you really feel the weight. You have more control, and you can focus directly on the quad working. That's more mind-muscle connection. As soon as he finishes one leg, he switches straight to the other leg. Then he again keeps going. Pump out more reps, fast and strong, until he can't no more. Now for the final exercise. Jay doesn't forget calves. He moves to seated calf raises. And just like everything else in this workout, it's all about reps and control. He focuses on full range, stretching at the bottom, squeezing hard at the top. Calves respond to volume, so he keeps the reps high and the tension constant. Just rep after rep, burning them out until they're done.